rise up, whoa, not gonna give up, whoa, we're gonna rise up, whoa, we're gonna rise up, whoa, not gonna give up, whoa, we're gonna rise up, yeah, oh, we're gonna rise up.
Welcome to Rise Up, hosted by me, Steve Collin. I'm so glad you're here today, and I really value that you're, spending the time to hang out with me, and hopefully this podcast is really kind of giving you a couple of nuggets or making your day just that tiny bit brighter and better. And I'm so excited because today I'm going to be interviewing Bill Ohanlon, and he is not only a good friend and a great guy, and we have so many laughs, but he is super knowledgeable. He's written over 40 books. He actually wrote his last 41 books, so he just finished that a couple of weekends ago. And so he's had over 87 songs cut by artists and different people. He's written 305 songs just this year with his collaboration team and his sync team. He is super, super successful. He's a psychotherapist, and he also has, that's what his major is. And he's, one of the coolest things that you're going to hear is that he is actually, he's focused a lot of his lot of his career on solution based therapy, and not just focusing on the problems and the issues. But he's really, it's even just in knowing that, just as I say that, that he wants to help people and he wants to make this world a better and brighter place. And he drops so many gold nuggets and gems in this interview. It's you might have to come back and watch it a couple of times or listen to it a few times. He is absolutely amazing. So anyway, before we dive in, I just want to let you guys know that, if you want to sponsor this, if you want me to keep continuing doing this, please become a partner over at patreon.com/Steve Collin, and you can become a partner there. And also head over to the Facebook podcast groups, where we actually talk about a lot of this stuff in this group. We talk about the seminar or the interviews and little lessons and little takeaways. And I'd like to get to know you there. And so, it's, you guys are getting to know me and my guests, but I want to get to know you more. And so head over there. It's Rise Up with Steve Collin, and it's a Facebook group. So it's a private group, so you'll have to ask for permission to join, but it's a very safe area there, safe zone, where we get to hang out and do this more in depth, more just on a different level, just another layer or another level in. And also, if this has been helpful at all, please consider writing a review and giving us a 5-star review, and hopefully that will, I know that with the more reviews, then the higher it goes up on the search engines and the list, so that people actually can find it a lot easier, and we can shine this light. You by doing that will help shine a little bit of light. And these podcasts are all about being positive and helping people and sharing motivational and inspirational stories, and there's so many people that need this. I know that. And so anyway, enough of that. We are going to be diving in, and this is an amazing he shares a little bit on his story and some amazing takeaway things. So I don't want to spoil anything or share too much. So let's go ahead and dive in. So true, because we get...
Please, I do not need to write another book, Steve. Please stop me before I write again.
I think, well, you just finished one last weekend. So if we have this conversation next weekend, you'll be like,
yeah, that's right. Now I'll go, oh man, I have to write another one. Oh, no, please.
That's so great. But I think that is not even, I think, I know that is so powerful that, because feelings are there, and a lot of people aren't in control, that as in control as you are. You've really addressed and dived in deep and figured out a lot of those things, but a lot of people just let feelings and thoughts just float like have a free for all, and it's like,
well,
no,
and control their actions. I'm like, yeah, acknowledge the feelings. That's great. It's like Rumi, those feelings. A human being's like a guest house. Welcome all those feelings in, but don't let them run the show. Don't let them smash the furniture and run the show. That's it.
That's great. And like a musician, don't let them throw out like a rock star. Don't let them throw the TVs out of the 20-foot storage hotel.
I don't know if you saw, but they asked Joe Walsh from his own group and from Colorado, actually, Rocky Mountain Way, and from the Eagles. Are you worried about AI and music? He said, until they can learn to trash a hotel room, I'm not worried about AI at all. I love that answer. That's a Joe Walsh answer.
That's great. That's great.
Until they can trash a hotel room, they're never going to be as good as we are.
Because he can trash a hotel room. That's fine.
Then we'll worry about AI.
Yeah, exactly. And that's for anybody who's not sure what AI is, it's artificial intelligence. It's like it's creeping in on the music industry and all over the world, but
all other industries, yeah. Writing, book writing as well. Yeah. Right. Art. Yeah.
Actually, what would you say to that? Like people writing books, like I have an idea of what I would say, but what would you say to people saying, oh, I can just push a button and print a book? Why would I what do I need?
Yeah, it's not quite there in terms of the sophistication yet, but to me, years ago, I heard this story that, that this rich guy decided he wanted to see if he could program a computer to think like a human being. And he got all this money, got the best supercomputer and all these programmers. And then this was back in the day when you typed in, and he typed in when they finished the project, do you compute? You can think like a human being. And the printer started to chatter out some printer, and they all ran over, and the computer said, that reminds me of a story. And so I think the creative, it says, they call it creative AI, generative AI, but it's not really creative. It's sort of regurgitating. And I guess we all do that in some ways, but that human creativity thing. And also there's something, this with music, there's something about the body and sensations and feelings that are so intimately tied into human experience and creative experience. You hear some song and it makes you want to cry or it makes you want to get up and dance. It really touches you in a visceral, physical way. And until computers get sensory bodies that are like that, I don't think we need to be worried. Maybe someday we will. I actually have used AI in the beginning stages of a creative project. I write a lot of songs, and I write songs for TV and movies and commercials, sync songs. And I've written probably 150 Christmas songs. And after a while, you get a little like, what's my next title? And so I ask AI to create 10 fake Hallmark Christmas movie titles. Mm-hmm. And they were terrible, most of them. But one of them was Wrapped in Your Arms for Christmas. And I changed that into Wrapped in Your Love for Christmas, and I wrote that song because I needed that initial inspiration spark. So I think AI might be good with that. The other thing I've ever used it for is I had a bio that I wrote about myself, and it was kind of boring. I knew it was boring, and I didn't have much time. I ran it through AI. It was a bio plus a description of a webinar I was doing, and it came back like a great copywriter. It was like, wow, they spruced it up. So I suspect it'll get better as time goes on, but so far humans, I think, are more essential to the creative process.
Right. Yeah. Well, gosh, yeah, it's definitely, it's such a new thing, and technology, as we all know, it's just gotten better and smarter and greater and stronger and more depth, So
we use this sort of an AI, and you use it in production. You use things that will master in a really way that's beyond the human capability, or little alter boy, which alters the voice sounds. And that's sort of an AI thing. It's an artificial intelligence that they program to do something like that. And so there are uses for it, I think. And, I wouldn't demonize the whole thing. And I am worried it will take over and kill the human pests off the planet someday.
Anybody who's watched Terminator?
I've read enough science fiction. Yeah. The Terminator. Yeah. The Terminator.
Exactly. So, well, that's great. And before we kind of start wrapping up, I wanted to. You touched on something a little earlier. You said, you're a really good procrastinator, and I thought that's kind of an oxymoron, where it's like I'm really good at it, procrastinating, not doing anything, and it's. So,
I could have gotten a college degree in it. I was professional level procrastinator for years.
That's great. What
that was actually my major, but I switched majors into psychology formally.
Wow. So I guess we all have a bit of that procrastination in us. What were some of the keys, I guess, that you'd share that that are kind of like, you have to do this, this, and this, and this, in order to.
Well, I think when people just say, how have you written so many books? At first, it was a really helpful thing for me to not self-publish, to actually have publishers, because I would sign a contract. They would pay me money, sometimes a small amount of money, but sometimes a large amount of money. And they say, and your book is due October next year. And then in September next year, I'd be, oh my gosh, they paid me money. I will have to give it back. Or I usually didn't think that. I would think, I've given my word. Yeah. Now, if I gave my word to myself, Bill, you need to sit down this weekend and write a chapter of that book. Other things will get in the way inevitably. There'll be things that will come to the foreground, or I'm tired, or I don't feel well, or whatever it may be. So I think making a commitment that matters, and for me, it was they paid me money and I signed a contract and said it would be in by this time. That is really helpful to me. Now I don't need to do that. And weirdly, like this book, the last book I wrote, there's no contract for it. There's no publisher. It's going to be self-published, this music book, songwriting book. I didn't need that much motivation. I must have developed my sit down and glue your bum to the chair muscle.
You say you must have, or maybe you did. Yes, you have 40
Yes, I have. I'm not so run by the feelings anymore. I used to be run by the feelings of, I don't feel like it. And it's like, yes, so what? I mean, like you do that with music. You go, well, let's do it tomorrow.
Yep.
I got to get this in. There's a brief. It says it's due tomorrow. I promised my co-writers I would get them this by tomorrow or by next week. And if I promise myself, I'll probably break the promise. If I promise someone else, sometimes I break my promise. I'm not perfect, but I'm much better about it. So having that external thing was really helpful to me at first. And, same thing with workshops. The workshop would be next Thursday, and I'd have to have my slides ready, and I'd have to have my materials ready already. And so there was an external pressure on it, commitment to it. That was helpful at first. Yeah. But then also, just because I had that energy, that was my anger, my pissed off energy was stronger than my avoidant energy or my procrastinating energy or my fear energy or whatever else was getting in the way. That was really helpful to have that kind of passion. I mean, you have that for music, and you had overcome a lot to do what you've done in music. And there are a million reasons why you shouldn't and you couldn't and you can't and you won't. And all you need is that one big, I have to. Yeah. I have to. Yeah. What they always say when you go to Nashville, if you cannot be a songwriter, don't be a songwriter. It's not a good time to be a songwriter. Right. And if you cannot do it, go do something else. Yeah. And that's been true for everything that I've done. I've had to do it. It feels that urgent to me and that passionate for me. And also because it's not about me. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in life that's all about me. But like you doing this podcast, for me, writing those books was for the world and for other people. And so it didn't matter how I felt, because I was going to rip those people off because I wasn't going to, share this with them because I was lazy or didn't feel like it. Sorry, this is my duty in the world to contribute to the world and make the world a little better place. It's true to my hippie values, it's true to my spiritual values. If you've got something you got to share, just get over that stuff and go share it in the world. You go contribute that to the world. Because again, I've had one person years ago who wrote me and said she read one of my books and didn't kill herself as a result. And I'm like, the first time that happened, it's happened about 20 times since then. I figured, okay, every one of those hours I spent hunched over the computer, typing this stuff and retyping it and editing it and, going out on publicity. That was all worth the price of admission right there for one person. If I made a difference in one person's life before I go off this planet, that's everything else is icing on the cake for me. So, that's high motivation. So if you've got a book in you or an online course or music or whatever it is you have to put out in the world, go put it out in the world. There could be somebody that's waiting for that very thing at this moment that's going to make the crucial difference. I've listened to music that's helped keep me alive. Yeah. That's helped me, tie a knot in a rope and hang on for dear life because some line in that or some feeling that I got from that music was just something I could hold on to in my roughest moments and get through my roughest moments. So whatever you have in you that the world might need, go do that.
Gosh, that is so powerful. You've just, I've been in that, been in your seminar or your talk when you've talked about the 30,000 feet overview, and you've got such a big outlook on life. It's not just that little fear or that little thing. Now it's all about you got to get this out into the world, and so big deal if I'm the one writing it. Doesn't matter. This thing needs to get out there to help people, and that's such a great perspective. I think that's awesome.
And nobody can do it like you can do it. It's like your fingerprint. Nobody's got that soul print, that heart print, that sensibility print that you have. You say, well, other people have written about trauma. Why should I write another book about it? Well, maybe they need to hear this perspective. Years ago, I heard this story of they were actually in the Oppenheimer movie recently, but Hans Bethe, who is a physicist working on, did a bunch of stuff, but working on the Manhattan Project, and Leo Szilard, who became an anti-nuclear activist after the war, and Leo Szilard one day says to Hans Bethe, his physicist friend, "I've decided I'm going to keep a diary for the information of God." And he goes, "Han, don't you think God already knows all the information?" He said, "Yeah, but not this version." And I always loved that. I thought, yeah. God doesn't know your version. Yeah. You got to put that out in the world. Your version of music, your version of the world, your version of your poetry, your version of how to do business, your version of how to write a book, whatever it may be. Yeah, there's other people out there, but you've got a version that maybe is the one that somebody needs to hear or find out about.
Gosh, that's absolutely amazing. Gosh, Bill, thanks. As we're kind of wrapping up here, I do want to ask you, because I know some of my students and listeners and viewers, they want to know, how do they get more in contact with you, or do you, what kind of things do they offer? Because
I'm so behind the scenes now. I used to be so out in front and doing all my stuff, and it's me, and now it's all I'm writing songs for other people. But you can go to BillOhanlon.com or BillOhanlon.org, and you can get that free book that I talked about. It's called A Lazy Man's Guide to Success. And you can get on my email list, because occasionally I still have my online courses that go out. And occasionally I actually do songwriting webinars and stuff like that about how to do metadata and how to use disco and how to write for sync, things like that. I know you do that as well. So yeah, I think people can go and they can go on all the Amazons and find my books that are still in print, or even the ones that are out of print. And occasionally they may see me somewhere. Occasionally I play my songs out, but mostly I'm just a songwriter. I'm not the performer. So I hope you hear my songs. I have 87 songs now out by other artists that have recorded my songs, and I have Spotify playlist of that, and have some in movies and TV. I just got one at a Fox TV show a little while ago. So
That's
yeah,
great.
it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, gosh, thanks so much again, Bill. I think I'd love to get you back on again and talk. You just dropped so many gold nuggets, so many gems, and I know that you really help people by hanging out and just really sharing those things. And
Well, thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this, as I said at the beginning. A great contribution. And if one person hears something that you or I say, or some of your other guests, and it makes a difference, worth the price of admission.
love it. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Gosh, Bill, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your time and your your passion and the wisdom that you've shared. You're all about helping this world. You're all about sharing and giving. You're all about pouring out to others, and it definitely shows in this interview. And you thank you so much. You've just dropped so many things, and I encourage all the listeners right now, jot down or on your phone, or take a little note, write down a few of those little things, because one thing that happens when you listen to something, it kind of goes in. It's like a sponge. It kind of has to soak in, but when you actually go ahead and write it, you end up reading it, which is the second way you're going to learn. And then you end up maybe saying it out loud. And when you write it, so you're actually learning and you're sinking it in deeper, and it becomes more of you. Even if you never go back to those notes, or if you maybe only see those notes one other time, you're still going through that process. And that's at least 3 times you're diving in deeper and cementing it into your life. And so absolutely try that. And I'm so thankful again that you're hanging out with us. And please, if you want to become a partner, head over to my Patreon account, which is patreon.com/Steve Collum. And consider being a partner, consider being a sponsor of a show. And also any 5-star reviews are greatly appreciated. Any of those reviews would be awesome. And I also head over to the Facebook group, which is Rise Up with Steve Collum. And I will see you there. Thanks again. I'll see you there.
Whoa, we're gonna rise up. Whoa, not gonna give up. Whoa, we're gonna rise up. Whoa, we're gonna rise up. Whoa, not gonna give up. Whoa, we're gonna rise up. Rise up, yeah.